God, the humidity in Florida is so ridiculous. So, but then again, I'm not complaining. When I was living in Vegas, I couldn't stand how dry it was. So I'd rather be around the ocean. But so this video is going to be about um, is addiction a disease? And in my opinion, no, it's not a disease. But I do understand why a lot of people think it is a disease, and I also understand why that narrative gets pushed. Now, I got a lot of points I want to make in this video. Hopefully, I can make them without rambling on for 45 minutes. I've tried to film this multiple times, and I just keep going off onto different subjects, and I'm not even getting the points across that I'm trying to get. So, first of all, the way to beat this addiction is I think it's going to help you to not look at it as a disease, because if you look at it as a disease, all of a sudden it's like you're not responsible for your actions. It's you just caught some disease that you can't do nothing about it. You just got to deal with this for the rest of your life. I don't see it that way. I conquered this thing a long time ago. It's in my past. I'm not interested in being addicted to anything anymore. So if I can do it, you can do it. I'm so far past it that I don't care at all. You could sit here and do it right in front of me, and I wouldn't touch it. You know, I mean, I can't say for sure I would have to be in that situation, but I don't think I would. You know why? Because I've got too much shit going on right now that I'm not willing to lose. And I know if I got addicted to heroin again, I would lose everything. Now, I've built up too much at this point to be willing to lose it for this manufactured good feeling that's not even real. You know what I'm saying? So now, in order for you to get to that point where you're just so far past it you don't care about it anymore, and that you don't want to go backwards. That's going backwards. If I did that, I'd be going backwards. I'm not interested in going backwards. I'm interested in going forward. There's things I want to do with my life, and sitting around with this manufactured high, being content with a life that I should not be content with isn't, I don't want to live that way. So, how do you get to this point? Now, I made a video recently about how to find your purpose. Now, if you want to find your purpose, you're going to have to beat this addiction, because here's how it works. This is how it worked for me. When I was on heroin, the only thing my conscience was telling me, you got to get off heroin. And it got to the point where I couldn't even really enjoy the heroin anymore because I felt like guilty. You know what I mean? My conscience was, it got to the point where it was bothering me so much that I couldn't even enjoy the high. I was just like, I'd be sitting there like, I shouldn't have done that. I told myself I was going to quit today, because what ends up happening is, for me, this is what happened with me. I'd be like, I knew I had to quit it. My conscience was screaming it at me constantly. And I'd be sitting there, but I'd justify it to myself like, I'm not dealing with it today. I got shit I got to do. I got to go get my dope. I got to go make my money. I'm not dealing with it today. So maybe tomorrow I would go get my dope. I'd go about my business, and by the time the nighttime came, I'd be thinking to myself, all right, maybe tomorrow will be the last day I do it. And next day comes, and same thing. Maybe tomorrow will be the last day, until finally, and then there's other things happening in between. Like, I had my regular dealers that I went to. I had one in Manhattan. I had a couple in the Bronx. These are people I like. These are friends of mine. Never an issue with none of them. The, you know, I was tight with the people I was buying it from, to the point where they'd give me Suboxones if I needed them. They wouldn't even charge me for them. Like, you know what I mean? So these were friends of mine. But every once in a while, like one time, my dude in the Bronx was in vacation in the Dominican Republic for like a month, so I couldn't deal with him. Although the other guy in the Bronx I really liked, but he just wasn't reliable. You just never know where he's going to be or what. And then my other guy in Manhattan, sometimes he'd be off in a rehab somewhere, and I'd have to deal with his little underlings and henchmen who These are the worst people on earth. They're these little rat motherfuckers who think they're some sort of super gangster because they're selling heroin. You know what I mean? So you got to put up with this little fake thug who, you know, it's you just don't want to. They think they're tough. They think they're cool. You get the urge to just smash them on the ground and take everything right out of their pockets. I didn't want to deal with these people. These on top of that, sometimes they got an attitude. One time, this one dude, meet me here, I go there. Meet me there, I go there. It takes me like 2 hours to finally meet up with him. I'm getting 4 bags. He hands it to me. I hand him the money. I'm disgusted with him at this point. Not, I didn't even say nothing to him. I just snatched it. I went about my way. I get up the block. It's three. I paid for four. So I'm calling him back. He's not answering. He's thinking he's, super thug, thinking he just got me for $10. So he's ignoring my calls. So I call my regular guy. I'm like, yo, you better get your little motherfucking henchman back here. He just shorted me a bag. And so now we're going calling back and forth. He's denying it. He's saying he gave me four. I'm like, why would I go through all this fucking trouble over $10? I'm like, get him back here with what I fucking ordered. That's that, bro. And so finally he comes back and he's got like this attitude and I wanted to fucking kill this kid. I'm not even kidding you. And when I think back on it, $10. I sweat. I almost caught a murder charge over $10. I'll just leave it at that. So this is the kind of shit that doing these drugs. These are the situations you're going to get into. You wonder why there's so much violence around it, because first of all, most of the people in that industry are fucking idiots. They're morons, and I'm talking about on both sides of it, the people selling it and the people buying it. It's like they're all fucking idiots, bro. I'm not even kidding you. So don't get me wrong, I had a lot of friends in that world, but anyways, so that's why I don't miss it. When I think back on it, people are like, "Oh man, I really miss getting high." I'm like, I get why you miss getting high, but don't aren't you disgusted by every other aspect of it, like dealing with these fucking idiots and dealing with this bullshit, and then sometimes even the henchmen aren't around, and you just got to sit there and wait and get dope sick, and you can't do nothing. You got to work, you got to make money, but you can't because you're dope sick. So you just got to sit there in this dingy, depressing dump in the Bronx, just waiting for some idiot to call you back. And truly, like idiotic people, you got to call them every hour because they're going to forget. And it's like, I don't miss that shit at all. So when I think back on it, I don't think back to the times when I was high and enjoying it, because towards the end I wasn't even enjoying the high. My conscience was bothering me so much. But I think back to the idiots I was dealing with and the ridiculous nonsense situations that I was getting put in, and I think back to being dope sick and having no control over my life and just having to wait for some moron to call me back. And that's why I don't miss it. I'm so glad that that's in my past. And so, you know, you got to stop, stop thinking that it was all good when in reality it probably wasn't. It was probably horrible, just like it was for me. I hated it. And so now, here's the thing: as long as you're addicted to whatever, I guess let me deal with this subject. So, is it a disease? No, I don't see it as a disease, but I do get it because a lot of people, this modern Western society that we live in is such a dystopian shithole that a lot of people just want to escape reality. That's not a disease. That's actually a very natural reaction to the types of societies we live in. You're not diseased. You can't adjust to this insanity, which means, in my opinion, you're actually mentally healthy. So you got to realize that you are not the problem. You were not born with the wrong chemicals in your brain. You were born with the right chemicals in your brain, and that's why you can't accept this broken society, because in order to just live in this society, you basically got to sell your life for whatever they'll give you for it, which is probably less than you can live on. It's like, you know, it's it's absolute insanity. It's absolute insanity, and everyone's different. What I had to do to escape this loop of insanity was that I had to go live on the street and deal with a whole bunch of other shit. And I can tell you another thing. When I was first on the street, I was very tempted to drink every day because I had a lot of anxiety and fear, and I just didn't want to deal with the reality of the situation. And it would have been a lot easier for me at the time to just sit there and catch a little buzz and just chill. But I also knew that that was the wrong move. That, I don't even know how to explain it, but I just instinctively, well, I wasn't. I knew I couldn't drink every day. I mean, growing up, my father was an alcoholic, so my mother was always telling me, "You better not drink when you get older because you got it in your blood and this and that, and if you drink too much, you're gonna end up a heavy alcoholic." Now, I never, like, growing up as a kid, my father wasn't drinking. He was going to AA meetings and all that. Um, so, but my mother was just constantly telling us, like, don't drink. My brother went ahead as soon as he was 21, started drinking heavily and turned himself into an alcoholic. But I didn't. Like, I, I just didn't drink much. And the other thing with me is I don't want to be sitting there drunk. I've never drank alone. Um, the only time I would drink was when I was going out and partying because it made me loosen up. So, but then the next day I'd be like, I don't want to drink again. I don't know how the hell anyone wants to drink 2 nights in a row, because I'd feel like such shit the next day that the last thing I wanted was to drink again. So fortunately for me, it just didn't agree with me drinking. And the other thing is, I like to have my mind intact. I like to, you know, I just don't want to be drunk. When I'm drunk, I'm a dummy. I'm kind of dumb. I do and say stupid things. I act like an asshole. You never know. It's like a roll of the dice. I might be happy. I might be an asshole, or I might be happy most of the night. Some little thing happens, and all of a sudden, I'm like a demon straight from hell. And it's like I'd wake up the next day like, what the hell? That wasn't even me. That was someone else. You know what I mean? There's that theory, they call it spirits because it's like being possessed by a spirit. And there might be something to that, because there's been times when I was drunk where I wasn't me. And it was like I'd be sitting there observing myself saying and doing horrible, mean things and acting like a piece of shit. And I'd wake up the next day like, why weren't you trying to control yourself? You were like, it was like I was enjoying being this diabolical little sadistic monster. Like, I don't. So I'd wake up and I'd feel so guilty and stupid and shitty for acting like such an idiot the night before that I was like, I don't, drinking just doesn't agree with me. But so, is it a disease? No, I think the disease is that you just are having a difficult time accepting this matrix, which, in my opinion, is a normal reaction, but you got to deal with it. We all got to deal with it. It's just the way it is. So, drinking and getting hammered and avoiding reality is not going to solve anything. It's actually just going to keep you locked down in this matrix. And the reason they tell you it's a disease is because they want you to feel helpless. They want you to think you're not in control. So, in my opinion, it's you probably shouldn't look at it as a disease, because when you look at it as a choice, it comes down to discipline, and that is your decision. Now, so here's the thing: I understand the difficulty with addiction, but now, in order to get to the point where you're really past it, you just don't care. Like where I'm at now. Now I've got 2 YouTube channels, a Patreon, and I'm doing stand-up comedy again. I'm not willing to lose all these things that I've built up just to start getting wasted again. So that's why if someone sat in front of me and offered me a bag of dope for free, I'd say no because I've got too many good things happening right now that I don't want to lose. So, in order, the way I got to this point was, you know, when I was on heroin, I was nowhere near where I'm at now, and I saw no hope to be anywhere near where I'm at now. But I knew my conscience was telling me you've got to stop doing heroin, and it was bothering me so much to the point where I couldn't even really enjoy the high anymore because I felt too guilty. So finally, watch my previous videos if you want the full story. But it just got to the point where I one night I had done a Suboxone, maybe a quarter of a Suboxone the 2 days before, and I got a bundle of dope, and the Suboxone apparently was still in my system, and I ended up doing pretty much the whole bundle, not getting high. A bundle of dope is 10 bags. It's enough to kill a horse. Didn't get me high, didn't do nothing. It got me this weird, shitty high that I did not enjoy with the guilt, and that was the last straw for me. And what happened at that point when I was feeling that weird high and I was feeling all the guilt, I said to myself, I just want to feel normal again. I don't care about getting high anymore. I don't want the guilt anymore. The high, it's not even that good anymore. And I just want to feel fucking normal again. So from that day forward, I just got on the Suboxone and did dope maybe 3, 4 times for the rest of my life. And it didn't even work because I was on the Suboxone and it blocked it. So here's the thing. If you're addicted to something, alcohol, heroin, crack, meth, I don't have any experience with either of those things. But I've done plenty of coke, but I was never even close to getting addicted to coke because the day after I do coke, I don't want to do it again. I'm like, never again am I doing it again. But then a year later, I'll do it again, and then it's something that I'm not a huge fan of it. But so, anyways, whatever you're addicted to, here's the thing: you got to listen to your conscience. I'm guessing your conscience is telling you let this shit go. You got to move on. And here's the thing: your conscience is only gonna tell you what you got to do in the immediate future. That's how it was for me. So when I was on heroin, I didn't see any future. I just knew that I had to get off. And so once I finally fully conquered that shit, and it took me a while, that was 2017 was the last time I did it. 2019 was the last time I did the subs. Now, my conscience was just telling me you got to get off the heroin. Once I got off the heroin and got on the subs, I was on the subs for about 2 years, and then all of a sudden one day my conscience started telling me you got to get off the subs, and I'm like, wow, I guess I'm done with heroin, because it. I didn't plan it this way. As far as I knew at that point, I was just going to be on subs forever. But my conscience, all of a sudden, I'll never forget it. I was walking down 71st Street and it hit me like a bolt of lightning. Like, it's time to get off the subs. You're past the heroin. You're not going to do it no more. Time to get off the subs. This is my conscience. I'm very in touch with myself. So I said, okay, I think I agree with that. It's time to start weaning down on the subs. So that's what I did. By 2019, Easter 2019, I got off the subs. Next thing I know, all of a sudden, my conscience is telling me, basically, you got to get yourself a car to live in. And here I am with a car to live in. My car was wrecked. Anyway, here's my point. As you conquer these things, your conscience is going to give you the next directions for the next obstacle you got to conquer. So, you may be addicted to something, and you may feel like there's no future, but once you fully conquer that addiction, your conscience is going to give you new directions. And so maybe you do know your future, and you got to get through this addiction to get to it, or maybe you don't know your future. What I'm telling you is that once you get past the addiction, the next step is going to reveal itself. And then once you get past that step, the next obstacle is going to reveal itself. So you got to listen to your feelings, listen to your conscience, and do what it's telling you to do. And that is how you really get past it. So, like I said, I'm at a point where I wouldn't do it. because I got too many other things that require my attention and my energy and my effort that I'm not willing to lose. So stop, in my opinion, look, you do what you want. It's your life. I'm just speaking from my own experiences, and it's not like I knew it was going to go this way. It's just this is what I learned from my experiences. Like I didn't feel like I had a future, but the next thing I know, as I'm getting further and evolving further along, your future is going to reveal itself as you get further along. So just worry about what's right in front of you. Now, if you're addicted to something, what's right in front of you is getting off of that shit. And it's not just getting off it. You got to really get past it and conquer it fully to the point where you're not going to fuck with it no more. And it's like once God or the universe or your conscience, whatever you want to call it, once it knows for sure that you have really conquered it and you're not going to go back, that is when the next step is going to be revealed. And then you're going to have to do that. And, the next thing you know, you just keep conquering these obstacles as they're being presented to you. The next thing you know, you're going to have some things built up and you're not going to give a shit about whatever you were addicted to. So that's how it was for me. And, like I said, I haven't given a shit about heroin in a long time. And the meetings and stuff, I think that's good for some people. Some people need that. I am not one of those people. I'm the type where I just I don't want my whole life to revolve around this addiction. I feel like it's in the past. I don't want to deal with it no more. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to particularly talk about it. I don't mind talking about it if it's going to help other people, but it's so I'm past it. You know what I mean? I don't want the rest of my life to be revolving around this one part of my life. But some people need some support or whatever, so they go to these meetings. It gives them something to do. If that's what it takes, do that. Maybe your purpose is to go to these meetings and to help other people beat it. I don't know. That's not my purpose, but it might be yours. So I'm not saying don't go to the meetings. I'm saying listen to your gut, listen to your conscience, listen to your feelings. If that's what it's telling you to do, go to these meetings, then go to these meetings. Do that. It's nice to go be around other people, meet some chicks. I get it. um, if I didn't have stand up comedy, maybe I'd consider it just to be around chicks. You know what I mean? Just to be around girls. I don't know. Um, but, so if that's what you want to do that. If that's what it's going to take to get you off it, but you just got to keep listening to your conscience, listening to your feelings, and doing what it tells you to do. And if you need the support of the meetings, go do that. That's fine. My father used to go to these meetings all the time. It My father had a bunch of friends. Like he had this whole social life from it. You know what I mean? So, I get it. You know, um, I totally get it. I do get it. So that maybe go to the meetings and go that route. But it's not for everyone. Other people don't need all that. They can just skip right ahead to the next thing that they want to accomplish. So my point here is that you got to stop looking at it like you're this helpless victim of this disease that just fell out of the sky or got passed down genetically or because I just don't think that's factually accurate. I don't think it's true. Um, the other thing is with all these psychologists and psychiatrists and shit, how would they know? Have they been addicted to heroin? Have they been addicted to alcohol? Like, what do they know? You know what I mean? And the other thing is, if they're doing a good job, why is everyone so mentally ill? Why is everyone on medication? Why do you have people going out and trying to literally kill everyone? It's like, they try to blame guns, they try to blame the drugs, they try to blame this, they try to blame that, but the reality is this society is just absolutely insane and upside down and it makes people miserable. But you can't let it. You gotta be stronger than that. You gotta just, like focus on what you want out of life and figure out a way to get it. And the first step is getting past this addiction, because until you do that, it's going to be just this thing that you stumble over constantly until it's conquered. That's how it was for me. It took me years. But once I got over it, things started happening quickly. I can tell you that much. My life changed very quickly once. And I'm telling you, this world, this universe, this reality works in a way that is beyond our comprehension. You know, things were happening that were out of my control, but they were going in my favor. And once you start moving a certain way, the rest of the world kind of adjusts itself to your new level. And I don't know how to explain it, but I can tell you one thing, that things are going to stay pretty stagnant until you beat this addiction. So you got to beat it, whatever you got to do. If you're on opiates, try the Suboxones. It worked for me. I've got videos that explains exactly how to do it. The alcohol, not something that I got experience beating, but there's plenty of other people that have, and I'm sure plenty of them will be happy to tell you exactly how they did it. Um, I don't have the experience with alcohol. It, I never took the alcohol like I did the heroin. I loved heroin for a little while there, but I never loved alcohol the way I loved heroin. So, um, you know, but it's a very similar thing. I think they do actually make a pill that like blocks alcohol from working. So maybe try that, because the subs with the heroin helped me a lot. The fact that when I was on the subs, when I did heroin, it was just a waste of my money. It didn't get me high. After doing that a few times, I was just disgusted by just wasting my money and not getting high, and then just sitting there feeling guilty about going backwards. And I'm telling you, like, I can't explain it, but every time I did new heroin, I felt like I knocked myself back like a year or months, or you know what I mean? So even though it didn't get me high, I felt like I took a step backwards and just added more time to trying to get where I'm trying to be. Hopefully that makes sense, but I just felt like it knocked me down a year or so every time I did it. So, I got to the point where, and I'm telling you, the universe tested me. It, my buddy, I'm not going to say his name, but he got out of Rikers Island. One of the people I knew who sold heroin, pretty good friend of mine. He comes out to say what's up to me. I know he's got it on him. I also know that since I ain't seen him in about 2 years, he'd be willing to give me a couple for free. So I knew all I had to do was ask, but I didn't ask. I felt like I was being tested by the universe, so I didn't. I passed the test. I didn't take no dope off him. I don't even know what happened to him. Hopefully he's alive and well. I really hope the best for him. Maybe after this video, I'm going to try to look him up and see what's up with him. I'm not going to talk to him, but I'm curious to see if he's in jail or free or alive. Who knows? But hopefully I got my points across in this video. I guess that's the end of it. There's a new video on my movie channel, what I learned from the Blair Witch Project. I learned a pretty valuable lesson from that movie. Um, my new Patreon video went up last night. Next one should be maybe Sunday. So, or I don't know, maybe Friday. I can't really get on a regular schedule of Patreon. It seems to be about 2 videos a week though. So, and what I'm doing on Patreon is very different from what I'm doing on YouTube. Anyways, I appreciate every single one of you. I hope whatever you're dealing with, you can conquer it and move on to the next obstacle, and you keep conquering these obstacles until you get exactly where you want to be. But that's how you do it. You got to keep conquering these things. Or you can just sit there stumbling and fumbling on this one thing for the rest of your life. It's up to you. But I don't think it's a disease. I think it's a matter of discipline, and it's a matter of just taking control and not letting anything stop you. So just be determined. And if opiates are your issue, look at my previous videos. They might even help for alcohol. I don't know. But anyways, I guess that's the end of this one. I'll see you on the next one. Everybody have a good one.